The late summer air in Beijing was heavy that morning, as though the sky itself carried the grief of millions. The memorial hall chosen for Yu Menglong's farewell was located in Chaoyuan district, a solemn, grand building that has hosted farewells for statesmen and cultural icons. Outside, thousands of white chrysanthemums lined the entryway, their pale petals trembling gently in the breeze. Inside, silence ruled, punctuated only by the low sobs of those who had come to say goodbye. Live video stream, arranged by his management and reluctantly approved by the family, captured every flicker of emotion in painful clarity. For those unable to attend in person, the cameras became their only lifeline to a farewell they could not bear to miss. At the center of the hall stood a towering portrait of Yu Menglong. His familiar face, handsome and delicate, seemed frozen in eternal youth. The photograph chosen was from his performance at the Dragon Boat Festival show earlier that year. His smile bright, his eyes warm. Beneath the portrait lay the coffin draped in white and silver cloth, surrounded by cascades of lilies and chrysanthemums. Lines of mourners moved forward slowly, bowing 3 times, laying flowers, tears falling freely onto the polished marble floor. The live stream captured every detail, every tear, every trembling hand. In the live chat window, fans typed in a flood of broken hearts, crying emojis, and desperate words. Please wake up, Menglong. We will love you forever. Why did you leave so soon? The first to approach were his parents. His mother, frail and trembling, leaned heavily on 2 relatives as she made her way toward the coffin. When she reached the front, her cries pierced the silence, raw and unrestrained. Clutched the edge of the coffin, whispering through her sobs, "My son, my precious boy. How can I live without you?" Her words, though not amplified, carried through the hall like an unshakable echo. Millions of fans watching online broke down with her. His father, stoic until now, suddenly collapsed on his knees, his shoulders shaking violently as he wept. For a man who had rarely shown emotion publicly, the sight of his devastation became one of the most unforgettable images of the day. The cameras lingered, and for a moment the entire world seemed to cry with him. Close friends and colleagues began to arrive, their grief adding new layers to the tragedy. Fellow actors from his breakout drama Go Princess Go walked in together, their faces pale, some shielding their eyes behind dark glasses that failed to hide the tears streaming down their cheeks. One of his co-stars, who had shared the screen with him in eternal love, knelt before the portrait, pressing her forehead to the floor 3 times before standing again, her body trembling. Later, when she spoke briefly to reporters outside, her words were simple but devastating. On set, he was like a brother to me. He always made us laugh. I cannot accept that he is gone. The live stream's chat exploded during these moments. Fans who had adored their chemistry on screen wept openly, typing in frantic bursts. They looked so happy together. This is unbearable. He was supposed to return in another drama. Why fate took him away? The digital ocean of grief matched the physical one inside the hall. Yu Menglong's agency staff, many of whom had worked with him since his early singing competitions, also filed in. A longtime manager placed a small framed photo of the young Yu, from his earliest days in the industry, table beside the coffin. She could not speak, only press her hands together and bow repeatedly. Soaking her mask, another staff member whispered to a friend. He called me the night before, he sounded fine. We would have dinner after the shoot. Now, there will be no dinner. As the live stream continued, it captured not only the hall but also the fans gathered outside. Long lines stretched along the street. Fans holding flowers, candles, and handwritten letters. Some had traveled across provinces to be here. Others wore t-shirts printed with his name. Some even holding posters of his dramas. They wept openly, some collapsing into each other's arms. Security staff gently urged them to keep moving. Their grief could not be controlled. One young fan shouted into the crowd, her voice breaking, "He gave us happiness. Now we give him our tears." The chant was repeated until it became a collective cry. Inside the hall, the most heart-wrenching moment came when Yu's younger cousin stepped up to the microphone to deliver a eulogy. Her voice shook as she recalled their childhood in Xinjiang. How he had loved music since he was a boy. How he had sung at every family gathering, his voice filling the room with joy. She broke down mid-sentence. Another relative had to hold her upright. Her words were broadcast live. and fans who had never known these intimate details of his early life now felt as if they were part of the family itself, mourning a loved one rather than an idol. Funeral music swelled, an instrumental version of one of Yu's beloved songs, "Come Home for New Year." As the melody filled the hall, the sobs rose louder. His mother wailed, collapsing into the arms of friends. The camera zoomed in, and for millions watching online, the soundless image of her grief became unbearable. In the comments, fans typed over and over, "Mom, stay strong, we cry with you. He will never truly leave us." The speeches continued. The director who had cast Yu in The Legend of Whitesnake took the stage. His voice hoarse, he was not only talented but kind. He thanked everyone on set, even the crew who carried cables. Kindness was his legacy. And now, absence is our sorrow. His words hung in the air, but with silence heavy enough to suffocate. As the hours passed, the cameras continued to capture every moment. Outside, it began to drizzle, as though the sky itself could not hold back tears. Fans raised umbrellas but did not move. Flowers now damp, their clothes soaked. Still they waited, hoping to catch one final glimpse of the coffin as it left the hall. The livestream neared its climax as the coffin was prepared to be carried out. White petals were scattered across the floor. Relatives held hands tightly, some nearly fainting from the weight of grief. The pallbearers lifted the coffin slowly, and the hall erupted in sobs so loud the microphones struggled to contain them. His mother cried out again, her voice echoing like a wound, "Menglong, don't leave me." Fans online wrote furiously, "We cannot bear this. This pain is too much. Bye, my idol, my star." As the coffin was carried out of the memorial hall, the grief did not subside. Instead, it deepened, echoing through every corner of the building and across millions of screens where fans clung to the livestream as if it were a lifeline. Outside, the drizzle turned to rain, and umbrellas bloomed like black flowers among the crowd. Not even the storm could match the storm of emotions inside the hall. Close friends and colleagues began to speak, voices trembling, their faces streaked with tears. Among them was a fellow actor from Eternal Love, who had shared many scenes with you. He stood at the podium for what seemed like an eternity, able to find his words, before finally whispering. He was more than a co-star, he was family. He always stayed behind after filming to thank every crew member, no matter how small their role. That's who he was. And now, we are left without his light. His body shook, and he had to be guided away, the cameras catching every painful step. A well-known director who had given you his first major role also stepped forward. His normally commanding voice was broken, almost unrecognizable. He was supposed to go further than all of us. I promised him a new project next year. I even had the script ready. But now, the role will never be filled. No one can replace him. Clutched the podium, his knuckles white, before bowing deeply toward the coffin. The livestream chat window erupted with grief. Fans typed in unison, "He cannot be replaced, director. Please keep his memory alive. Let us see that script one day." The sense of collective heartbreak was overwhelming. A digital chorus of sorrow spanning countries and continents. Friends from outside the entertainment industry also appeared, their presence adding intimacy to the public tragedy. Childhood friend, visibly shaken, shared a story of their days in Xinjiang, when you would sing beneath the apricot trees after school. He dreamed even then, the friend said, his tears falling unchecked. He told me once that he wanted his voice to travel beyond the desert, to reach the entire world. He did it. He truly did it. But why did his song have to end so soon? The hall was drenched not only in tears but in music. Yu's songs played softly in the background, his voice echoing across the mourners like a ghostly presence. Fans online recognized it instantly. In the chat with the title, many wrote, "Can't listen without crying." Some even recorded themselves sobbing as they watched, posting their videos with captions like, "I cried with his mother. I cried with his friends. We all cry together." The family, shattered but dignified, continued to receive visitors. His father, though drained, stood by the coffin with one hand resting on it, as if still protecting his son. Mother had been moved to a chair, too weak to stand for long, but her eyes never left the portrait above the flowers. Relatives surrounded her, whispering words of comfort that seemed to dissolve in the air before they could reach her. The camera caught her lips moving silently, speaking to her son in words only a mother could understand. As the day wore on, the line of fans outside did not shorten. They carried umbrellas now slick with rain. Their spirits did not waver. Each one placed flowers. Some left handwritten notes. Others photos of Yu in his dramas. A young girl placed a small plush toy on the steps, whispering, "You will always be my prince." The moment was captured and replayed online, spreading rapidly across fan communities who shared in her words as though they had spoken them themselves. In one particularly moving scene, a group of fans sang together, their voices trembling but united. Chose one of Yu's songs, the one he had once described as closest to his heart. As the melody rose, the livestream cameras focused on them, broadcasting their devotion across the globe. Millions of viewers wept as if present in the rain-soaked street themselves. When the final procession began, grief reached its crescendo. The pallbearers, in solemn black, carried the coffin slowly through the crowd. White petals rained down once more, mingling with the raindrops. Fans reached out, though they could not touch, their cries echoing in a chorus of farewell. Inside the hall, his colleagues and friends bowed deeply, collapsing from the weight of their emotions. His mother cried out again. Voice, Menglong, "Don't leave me," resonated like a wound that refused to heal. The cameras lingered on the scene, unwilling to let go. They captured every detail, the trembling hands of friends, the bowed heads of directors, the sobbing of fans pressed against barricades, the river of umbrellas stretching down the street. And then, finally, the livestream faded, turning black as millions of fans whispered their final goodbyes into the void. But the grief did not end with the broadcast. Across China and beyond, fans lit candles in their homes, vigils in public squares, and created memorial pages online filled with messages of love. Tags once again surged to the top of social media. "Farewell Yu Menglong, our eternal star." "Ocean of tears for Menglong." Each post was another drop in the endless ocean of sorrow that now carried his memory forward. For his family and closest friends, it was immeasurable. Yet even amid the devastation, there was a sense of unity. Yu Menglong had been more than an actor, more than a singer. He was a son, a friend, a colleague, a symbol of dreams fulfilled and lives touched. Departure had left an emptiness no performance, no award, no tribute could ever fill. But his legacy, strengthened by the tears of millions, had become eternal. As the final words of the day were spoken, a single message remained clear: Yu Menglong was loved, and fiercely. And that love did not end with his death. In the hall, across the livestream, in every home where fans wept before their screens, his presence was alive. His song had ended. Echo would never fade. The cameras turned off. Grief lived on. And as fans wiped their tears, the phrase repeated itself over and over, both on the streets of Beijing and in the endless stream of online messages: "Goodbye, Menglong. Sleep well. We will never forget you."